Hi, I'm Andrew with Lamanco, and today I'm going to show you the smokehouse demonstration featuring Lamanco's Low Omni Roll, or LOR-30. But before we get started, I'd like to point out a few key features and benefits of the Low Omni Roll product and show you some competitive products that will ultimately find their way onto the booth. Let's get started with the LOR-30. So you can see this is a 30-foot long, low profile, easy to handle, gunnable shingle over ridge vent. Because it's a low profile gunnable product, we put 2 coils of nails in the box. That gives you enough nails to put down all 30 feet of the vent and all 30 feet of the cap shingle that go on top of it. Now, as you can see, we've included an external baffle here that provides superior airflow and weather protection, as well as an Omni baffle that runs the entire length of the product. The Omni baffle teamed with the external baffle ensures that no matter which way the wind blows, you're going to benefit from the enhancement of having a baffle on the product. So that's here. You can see also that we have nail lines and nail holes that run the entire length of the product. That will act as a guide to make sure you're putting the nails in the proper place, both to install the product onto the roof and to install the shingles over the top of the vent when it's time to do so. You can see we have here a molded center line that allows you to much more easily center the vent up over the cut in the ridge line itself. We also have cut lines that run perpendicular at every foot because we want to be able to have the opportunity to cut this product at a single foot interval. And if you turn the product over, you'll see that you have internal baffles as well. So we really have 3 different types of baffles on one product: the external baffle, the Omni baffle, and now the internal baffle. And you can see these internal baffles are incurved. That helps promote positive flow out of the attic space through this vent itself, but also acts as a sort of structure to give this product a little more stability when it's being installed onto the roof itself. You can see running down the length of this external baffle is also what we call a weep channel. The weep channel is important because we know that when snow falls or when the rains come, there will be some water accumulating inside these louvers, which this is the area that allows the heat and moisture to escape. When that happens, we want to make it as easy as possible for that moisture to leave the vent surface. So we have the weep channel cut in here that allows that water to go through the channel, back down on the roof, and down toward your gutters, let's say. And finally, if you look, you'll see every foot we have what we call our patented molded fan fold end plug. Again, if we want to be able to cut this product at a single foot interval, we want to make sure that when that cut is made, the end plug is already built into the product to promote proper weather protection. So that's the LOR-30 product. You can see it's got a ton of features and benefits. We spend a lot of time working on it. We designed this. We've tested it tremendously. Now we'll look at some of the products that are also called rolled ridge vents. And there are several. You can see this one right here. This is kind of an egg crate or an egg shell kind of material, and it's been covered with a filter. No external baffle on it, no true weather protection other than this filtered product. We know one thing about filters. Filters are designed to restrict airflow. They catch things. You have dust and you have pollen being caught in this. So we don't want to have any kind of a filtered product on top of our roof. So here's one that we'll see, and we'll show on the smoke booth as well. Here's another kind. Talking about filters again, you can see immediately there's a filter inside of this product. This, I guess you would call a plastic-coated corrugated material. And it says, as you can see, it's not very well designed. It's not a whole lot of engineering thought went into making something like this. But again, this comes in a 20-foot long roll, and it's considered a rolled shingle over ridge vent, much like the LOR-30 is. We'll put this on the booth in a little while. And finally, we have this material, which we see a lot of. Again, it's a rolled ridge vent. It comes in a 20-foot length. You can see it's very dense. You can't see me through it, obviously. It's much like a scouring pad or something you might use if you've seen the big industrial floor cleaners. This is the kind of pad they would put at the bottom of that to clean the floors. Not really designed, I wouldn't think, to be a vent system. But we're going to try it on the smokehouse and see how it performs. So now you've seen all the features and benefits associated with Lamanco's Low Omni Roll product. I'm going to use this opportunity now to show you it in action on Lamanco's smokehouse. What we'll do is this is the LOR-30. I'm going to put this back on top of the smokehouse. I'll use a little bit of theatrical fog, which is going to represent heat and moisture in the attic space, and let you see for yourself how these vents are designed to perform. As you'll see, the heat is starting to build up inside. If you'll watch closely, down here at the soffit, the intake side, you'll see plenty of air moving into the attic space, moving in and around the attic space, and ultimately exhausting, as you can see by all the smoke coming out of the top of this vent, exhausting the way it's designed to do so. So that's when there's absolutely no wind moving at all, and that's a very rare occurrence, as I'm sure you'll agree. What happens when we put a little bit of wind on top of it? Throw a little bit of wind. We're putting about 8 or so miles per hour's worth of wind, and you can see with the external baffle that's present on this low omni roll product, you're enhancing the ability for that vent to do the work. You see the air is moving across this roof surface, it's hitting this external baffle, and it's pushing itself up. And as it pushes up, it hits a little lip here at the edge, and that lip forces that air to roll over the top of the vent. When that roll takes place, it creates a negative air pressure, and that negative air pressure sits down right on top of these louvers. And that negative air pressure on top of the louvers helps to give a draw into that vent. So we're actually helping to draw that heat and draw that moisture out of the attic space by having this external baffle installed. So again, as you can see, the more wind we put on top of it, the faster the wind moves, the more air is going to help to be drawn out, and more air is going to be allowed to move in at the intake side. So that's the LOR-30 product. Now I'll show you some of the others that we compared with a moment ago. This product is the filtered egg crate looking material. Again, it's a 20-foot long shingle over ridge vent. When it's installed, we see a metal cap right now. That'll actually be shingles on top, just like you'd see on the LOR-30. So I'll put it on the booth, and we'll fill it back up again with some fog and let you see how it works. Again, we're trying to remember, we want to get as much air into the intake as we can. We want it to circulate throughout the entire attic space, then ultimately exhaust its way out through the top of the ridge, through the ridge vent. But you can see very clearly that very little exhaust is taking place at the top. In fact, what's happened is that whole system is turned over now, and you can see the soffits, which are designed to be intakes, are now being forced to work as the exhaust for the system. We're trying to get about a 10 turnover ratio per hour. So that means every 6 minutes we want to clear out this entire attic space with air. We can't do that, obviously, if the systems are turning upside down and forcing what should be exhaust down to the intake portion. So this is the egg crate material, egg crate filter. Certainly won't happen with all the products, right? Let's try the next one. This is the filter covered plastic cardboard ridge vent. Again, a shingle over ridge vent, comes in a roll, comes in a 20-foot length. I'll put this one on and we'll see how it performs. So again, I'll use my theatrical fog to represent heat and moisture, and as we would expect it to do, we want to see plenty of air moving into the soffit, circulating throughout the attic space and exhausting out the top. But again, no external baffle on this. We have the same result as the egg crate material. We're seeing that a lot of heat and moisture now, instead of coming out of the exhaust, is being forced all the way down to the soffit. We've turned this system over on its head again. We're never going to get enough air out of this system to be able to turn the air completely every 6 minutes. If we had an external baffle, this wouldn't be the case. In fact, let me show you. I'll make my own external baffle and we'll see what the true value of an external baffle is. It's a hard piece of metal. I'm just going to put it up over the wind and watch what happens at the soffit and watch what happens at the exhaust. You see now how we're starting to get a draw back into that soffit area. We're starting to bring air back into the intake the way it's supposed to work. You see up at the top now, we're starting to get a lot of smoke coming out of the exhaust vent. Well, watch what happens again. The minute I take this metal piece off, this external baffle off, you see immediately now that smoke pushes back down onto the soffits and out of the soffits, rendering them useless. They're designed to bring air in, and they're being forced now to push air out. So that's the filtered plastic cardboard material. Finally, let me show you the scouring pad material. Again, I'll say it again, this is a shingle over ridge vent by design. It comes in a 20-foot long roll. I'll put it on and we'll see how it performs. And again, lots of heat and moisture coming out of the intake, not going out of the exhaust. We're trying to get ambient temperature. We're trying to not only move that heat and moisture out of the attic space, we're trying to get some cooler air in to help cool the attic space down as best we can. But without an external baffle, it's never going to work. So one more time, I'll show you the Lamanco's low omni roll LOR30 product on there, and we'll see, just watch how fast this chamber clears out. And just like that, the whole system turns back over and starts working the way it's supposed to. You can see very clearly now we're getting good draw into the intake. It's circulating throughout the attic space and exhausting out the top. We've talked a lot about the importance to have a balanced system here today. And we've seen a lot of examples of how we work on the exhaust. But what I wanted to do is show you some more about the intake. We've been able to isolate the intake on this smokehouse. As you can see, with no wind moving across it, very little fog or heat and moisture in our case is actually escaping. But watch what happens when I open it up just a little bit and introduce some air into the soffit, some replenishment air into the soffit. You can see immediately how the smoke begins to move, and you'll start to see it circulate around and exhaust. Now look at how much smoke is coming out of the top. So this is also on an externally baffled product, which we spoke about. I put a little bit of wind on top of this, and watch the enhancement to the flow. So as you can see, where it was moving up before, now it's moving up much more rapidly. And again, it's circulating throughout the entirety of the attic space. If I keep adding smoke to it, you can see better how the wind continues to be drawn in and continues to move. So again, in order for these systems to work properly, we have to maintain an equal balance between intake and exhaust. Remember how important the intake is to this system. So you can see, while many products may call themselves shingle over ridge vents, and they may come in a roll, there's definitely a difference between one product and the next. And I hope that what you've seen here will convince you that Lamanco's low omni roll is the best shingle over rolled ridge vent you could have on your roof.